Good evening. Good evening. Ready for revolution. Assalamu alaikum. Been a minute, so I just thought I'd just jump on and communicate, holler at some of us and see what we can spark in the mind of wealth builders, in the mind of people who want more. And I'm asking that you share it out and let's see where it goes. I want to ask the question, what do we want? And I'll use a little time to do this. And walaikum salam, Brother Abdul Rahman Muhammad, Sister Denise Renee Muhammad, Sister Deb Nixon. Gold evening to you too, Madame. Uh, yes, share it out by all means. I was going to attempt it myself, but I don't really want to distract and take away from the thought process behind what do we want? What do we want? You know, hey, Sister Sophia, all the way from Canada, Quebec. You know, listen, um, Jim Rohn and others have made it famous to classify non-dreamers as wandering generalities. Wandering generalities, just aimlessly going through life, you know, without a true sense of purpose or just going through motion based off of what's been afforded them. You know, many of us are just dealing with life as just walking through the cards with dealt. Hey, Brother Shaw L, the gold man. Brother, we featured your live stream this morning on Class in Session. It got rave review. It was a beautiful stream, brother. The Art of Detachment, man. Shaw L, the gold man, is in the house. But we're made to just, we're programmed to just do whatever is dealt us. We're born into a world. We're alive and vibrant as newborns. We're alive and vibrant as toddlers. We're exploring. We're venturous. You know, we go to these systems, these regimented daycares and kindergartens, and we find ourselves in grade schools, and then we grow up in this regimented state. And we're still dreaming at this point. We still have ideas, things that we like to explore, things we like to do. And then all of a sudden it goes just cold, dead, bang. And we don't know where it cuts off. We don't know when the dreaming stopped, because by the time we realize it, we're 30, 20, 30, 40 years away from where we were at 10, 11, 12, 17. Ben Franklin is known, or has been attributed this quote, says that we live until we're 18 and then we're buried at 65. What does that mean? What does it mean to live only to 18, but wait, you're buried at 65? What does that really mean? That means somewhere along the line, your heart is still beating, you still eat, drink, you breathe air, you walk, you talk. But what has it produced? Where do we find ourselves? And then many of us wake up down the road. I'll give you myself as an example. Classic, I consider it a classic example, because I, like many, no matter what the pedigree, no matter what the life experience or journey, there's no traditional avenue by which I was taught wealth. I wasn't taught wealth. You know, I knew the meaning of the word, but I was never taught about wealth. Oh yeah, we were introduced to a thing that we called money, but wealth has nothing to do with money, but everything to do with money. Wealth is a system of leverage. It's leverage. It's leverage of a system. It's leverage of other people. It's leverage of other people's money. That what wealth is, and it's accumulated and it's built based off of that formula. But here's the trick: no one teaches it. Now, there's some groups of the world, talented tents, if you will. I mean, I'm talking about of the wealthy, and they teach it father to son. I remember growing up in New York, and you would see older Hasidic Jews, and they would drive in the neighborhood or through a neighborhood with their sons, and they point at different things. They point at people, they point at buildings, they point at areas, and they would shake their head, don't do that, or check that out. And they'd be taking notes, and you would see them drive through these neighborhoods of Brooklyn, sometimes in the Bronx. You would see these, Staten Island, you would see it, or I definitely saw it. But I never thought anything of it until I was 50. And look at this now. Here I am 10 years later, and I just learned 3 years ago, or almost 3 years ago, that gold is money. I mean, I've heard it mentioned. I've come up through the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I know that gold has value. I knew gold has value. I knew gold was a part of our sojourn and belonged to the original men and women. I knew that. I didn't have that. I didn't have access to that. And if any of you traditionally moved as we were made to move, coming through life in the hills of North America, then you know it wasn't a taught thing. It wasn't sought out. It wasn't pursued. The only thing that was pursued was that dollar bill. And it was encouraged in every dynamic that we were part of. Movies, television, crap games in the streets of New York. Everybody was moving for the cream. Remember Wu-Tang Cream, CREM? Cash rules everything around me. Cream. Right? So all these things fashioned our mind and numbed us to the realities of a real world. Now, this conversation isn't as much about wealth and money as it is to goal setting. What do you want? What do you want? I typed a summary of where this conversation was to go. Earl Nightingale, business philosopher, and he's quoted as saying that people generally tiptoe through life just to arrive safely to death. Now, that was a mind blower for me. I heard it from Mr. Bob Proctor. He quoted it just last week in a presentation we aired on Class in Session. I was like, wow. That brought so much focus to me about wondering generalities. How we just merely exist. We're not living. I'm not talking about we as Black people or we as Asians I'm talking about humanity at this point. We just don't know how to live. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, you hear every morning, Class in Session, 8 a.m., Monday through Saturday. You hear him acknowledge rather, how a few got rich at the expense of the many. Think about that. How is that possible unless you control the board? See, it's always been the bankers. The bankers control your education. The bankers control your governmental policies. The bankers control your medicines. The bankers, they control your debt system because this whole entire system is based on debt. They set up an apparatus that gave you Federal Reserve. They set up an apparatus that gave you FDICs. They set up the apparatus that gave you the IRS. And they set it all up to take advantage of the many so a few can wax rich. Today, the veil has been lifted and now the world sees their shame. And there's no greater revealer than this pestilence that we're experiencing from heaven, from on high. Mr. Miles Monroe, Dr. Miles Monroe, may Allah be pleased, he talked often when he was amongst us about crisis. And he acknowledges that crisis destroys tradition. A crisis is that thing that's beyond human comprehension. A crisis is a thing that is so far outside of the traditional go-tos to solve. See, it's only a problem when government can solve it. It's only a problem when education can solve it. It's only a problem when leaders can directly put a finger or a finger on the pulse and say, okay, let's follow it here. And as a result, we'll do X, Y, Z. But a crisis is beyond that traditional thing, that traditional go-to. A crisis is beyond even parenting. Because crisis, Dr. Monroe said, destroys tradition. So now the traditions are destroyed, meaning what? Well, we no longer look to government to handle X, Y, and Z. We don't look to government now. I mean, think about this. Think about this. Here we are, 2 years, soon to be 2 years into this pandemic. Soon to be 2 years. And what has transpired? Well, the fact that Deb Nixon cited it. Sister Deb Nixon told us just the other day that 700,000 people that walked away from the employment rolls. Sister Debbie, could you type that in the chat so we can take a look at the point? It was an amazing 7 million. 7 million people. 7 million walked away from the job force, right? Thank you. Okay, I want to share some contributing factors to that. Contributing factors. Contributing factor number one. When the pandemic struck and we were all made to shelter in place, we were all made to stay home. We were all made to, and I say we loosely, we were all made to accept moratoriums on evictions, moratoriums on note payments, moratoriums on utility bills, as the government scrambled to try to put something in place. Moratoriums, right? And during that time, government came up with the idea of stimulus checks. And those stimulus checks started hitting homes, Now, think about this now. When we say 7 million walked away from the job force, what we really mean, as Sister Debbie says, they quit. They quit. Okay. What was the rule of thumb in traditional society? The rule of thumb was you grow up and go to a good school. You go to a good school, get a good education. You get a good education, you get a good job. You get a good job, you develop a good family. You develop a good family, you have a good home. And then you start the cycle all over again. And this carried America until it couldn't. It carried Europe. It carried Africa. It carried Asia. It carried Canada. It carried all of the nations on the earth until it could not. Well, when the pandemic struck and all this sheltering in place came, there was initial panic. The first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. First of all, families had to get used to being around each other because this wasn't something that was normal. Families had to get used to being around each other. Why? Because we were already working with less. We were already deprived of liberty. Think about this now. The majority of us before the pandemic were working 20, 30, 40 years of our lives for 40 hours a week, 40 years of our life, and then retiring, forced or otherwise, on 40% less than what we were actively earning when we worked. And if it wasn't enough for you while you were working, what makes you think it's going to be enough for you 40% less in retirement? We don't think about that because we were conditioned not to. We were just conditioned to manage debt, not live. So that tradition, that conditioning, and that programming was broken come pandemic, come crisis, because now we're forced to be home. We're forced to get used to being around each other. And then something miraculous happened. As the 4 weeks turned into 8 weeks and the 8 weeks turned into 12, we sort of adapted to staying up until we got tired and then getting up when we were tired of sleeping. We adjusted. We learned each other again. Wives were learning their husbands. Husbands were learning their wives, right? Your children were growing up, and now you got a chance to hold conversation with them that you weren't holding over the last few years because you were working overtime and triple time. Mothers, many of you were working 2 jobs and going to school. Gentlemen, many of you were working 2, 3 jobs and going to school. You would leave home. I used to leave home working. When I used to work, or when I had a job, I worked. But when I had a job, I'd leave home and everybody would sleep. When I came home, everybody was asleep. I knew nothing about their day any more than they knew about mine. You know, why? Because I'm working more hours and more hours because I'm programmed this way that if I continue to work more hours, I'll make more money. Well, that was not true. They made more money, but it wasn't for you any more than it was for me. There were tens and thousands of us in society, millions of us going out in society, working in corporate America, trying to get more, only to help a few wax wealthy at the expense of the many. So you have the corporation, and they have their officers, and they have their midline managers, and then they have the rank and file. That's you. That's me. Okay? We would never be the CEO of that company. And they put other conditions in place that made us feed on each other. If one aspired, they had a checkmate against that. I'll give you another example. I was in the hotel industry a little close to 20 years, not quite 20 years. But I was in the hotel industry, and you would get promotions or transfers, and you would get these things where you worked at other properties to help them get ready to launch or whatever the case was. And I would do these things, but a fresh eye in a stale environment breeds new ideas and speaks threat to the ones who exist on the property. So if I came to the hotel and I was new to a department, I had a supervisor, I had a manager, I had a director, and I'm looking around and say, oh, wow, we can do something here. We can modify this. We can do that. And my experience showed me we can do so and so such and just be more attractive to the customers that build more revenue. Well, the supervisor wasn't thinking like that. And the manager wasn't thinking like that. And the director sure as heck was not thinking like that. So they made sure that when you come through the door new, they put controls in place to make sure that you were limited in what you did, limited in what you contributed, because they didn't want to be shown up. Man, you can never build wealth. I'm not talking about making money. I'm not even talking about being rich. You'll never build wealth, family, with a job unless you know the job is a means to an end and the job is not forever. You'll never build wealth with your own brick and mortar business. because you'll always have to maintain them and work them. No, I don't mean never. You can, but it's going to take longer. In the 7 months of this opportunity, Wealth Builders Worldwide, in terms of GS Partners, in 7 months, my non-working, non-employed self, along with a team of 4,000 or so people, we amassed more than $2 million in sales in just 7 months. We started in the slowest month of the year, December 1st, 2020. And here we are today, approaching August 1st in 2 days of 2021. And I'm only a percentage in terms of Team Believe and our referral network. We're only a percentage of the larger microcosm. The larger of the microcosm is not the full macrocosm. We're just inside of the inside. Wealth Builders Worldwide is more than 41,000 people. Here I am with our little portion carved out with our wonderful teammates, 4,400 people or so. And our little corner generated $2 million. Well, what do you sell? The dream. The dream. What do you want? What do you want? And then how do you seek it? When you want a thing, how do you declare it? How do you speak it into existence? How is it done? The way we change the nature of our experiences is to change the nature of our thoughts. So how do you change the nature of your thoughts? Well, check your environment. What do you read? What do you listen to? Or who do you listen to? Do you ever make time for yourself and just write some things down about, okay, here's a good one. Here's a good one. Give yourself an assignment. Steal away in the wee hours of the morning. Steal away in the quiet time at home. Take out a paper and pen and ask yourself, what did I want to be when I was growing up? What did I want to be at 3? What did I want to be at 10? What did I want to be at 17? When did the wannabe end? Write down, what did I want to be at 3? What did I want to be at 10? What did I want to be at 17? When did the want to be end? Probe yourself. Probe yourself. I didn't know to probe myself. Look, this is the first time in my life. I've always been mission oriented. I've always wanted the greater good for people. I worked with and for the Most Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for 43 years of my life. And that work has not stopped. This is the first time, however, in all of the work that I personally saw where I have money as a vehicle to help me realize the future that I would love in terms of my contribution to the larger work. I would like to give of myself. I would like to be positioned to be a philanthropist. I would like to be positioned to be a leader that changes the world, that encourages change in the world. And now I have a vehicle attached to it. I traveled all over the world with Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture. I've traveled all over the world with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam. My mother, what a revolutionary, she revitalized the whole experience of the Black church in the United Methodist Church. Oh, her history is steep. And so I've always wanted to do and be more, but I know now when that desire to do and be more for me and my family, I knew when it was crushed. I know now when it was crushed. They say hindsight is 2020. But I'm back on the grind because I embraced the dream. And I'm going to share something with you. This Dream Chaser Manifesto by Mr. Ty Best, CEO and founder of Wealth Builders Worldwide, my teacher. Okay? He said it's a dreamer's guide to surviving in a jungle of non-dreamers. Oh, this jungle's intense. But the one thing I want you to understand about this remarkable book, it teaches us how to engage the mind to change the world. How do you recalibrate? How do you get, first of all, you have to recognize where you are and where you've been. You have to recognize that, acknowledge it, and then see if you can stretch your mind to see beyond the box. To change the nature of our experiences, we got to change the nature of our thoughts. That means our thought pattern has to be in a space that is fed differently. If your 5 personal close relationships and everyone in that relationship is broke, guess who the 6th one is? You see? So when you awaken and you move into another environment, that move is now designed to feed your expanse. I say this often. I'm gonna shut this down. I say this often. This world is a world of abundance. The universe is a world of abundance. And guess what? We are children of abundance. Abundance is our birthright. What? Yes, it's our birthright. Who has the earth been created for? Who? The fish can't do what the human being can do. Birds can't do what the human being can do. There's more air than we can breathe. There's more water than we can swim or drink. There's more land than we can walk or build upon. This is abundance. And if the universe was made to serve man, when we say man, we're talking about humanity, mankind. We're talking about men and women, man, woman. Okay? If we're made to serve, if it was made for us to benefit from, and we're made to serve, then you need the tools. So people have gone on to do miraculous things. People have invented airplanes. People invented traffic lights. People have developed phonographs and all kind of technology and industry from a peanut. You understand? All these things evolved, but evolved from a universe that is designed to develop us and develop our contribution to ongoing generations in this universe. We are children of abundance, but we're also servants of the abundant. What do we want? Just sharing. I'm hoping and hopeful that somewhere in this short talk there was something that appealed to you, to help you to know and understand that you deserve better than what you have. Even if what you have is great, you deserve more than that. You see, Why? Because the abundance is yours. It's yours. Be intentional. When it comes down to money, get paid on purpose. Have goals. Set goals for yourself. Brother Ashar L., the gold man, really messed me up with what he said on the power call yesterday. He said, you'll only succeed to your point of belief. So if your belief level's here, you're only going to aspire to right there. You're only going to aspire to right there. But there's more. There's more. Lord, there's more. There's more. I see you, Sister Missy. You say you need to get a hold of the book. Someone type in the chat, please. Shop, S-H-O-P, shop.mywbw.net. Shop.mywbw.net. And you can find the Dream Chaser Manifesto. And order yourself a copy. Order a few. There's an exercise that Mr. Proctor taught that in our team, Believe Our Believers Huddles, we'll implement soon. You know, many of us treat reading like bleeding. Thank you, Lisa, but that's shop.mywbw.net. Thank you, Marcel. Shop.mywbw.net. Mr. Proctor, he says, start reading and then read with each other. Get on the phone with some of your partners. You read a passage, then let them pick up and read. Read till you can't read anymore, and then listen to them read. Oh, that's powerful. Oh, I forgot where I was going with the whole pandemic, the crisis, right? Okay, many of us were forced to stay home. And then we had to come up with new ways to make money. Why? Because the stimulus checks aren't enough. But we had a grace period where we can figure out how we can work from home. So we started using our tools differently. The phone, the laptop, the desktop, the computer. We started using them differently, and we started looking for ways to make money from home. This is that business. This is that business. And what did it do? It permanently broke the yoke that employment had on us, where we thought we could not survive without the job. Well, that myth is gone. You thought you could not earn a living. Well, that myth is gone. Many people have now begun to produce food at home, and they're destroying the whole idea of the food desert. Do you hear what I'm saying? Self-sufficiency is coming into play in a very subtle way. And then when you believe the rules of government, that they got a handle on this thing, and they're opening up the doors for revenue streams to occur again. They want you to shop with that little bit of stimulus money. They want you to shop in their stores. They want you to shop in their restaurants. They want you to frequent their resorts. And then the pandemic spikes again. Florida's off the Richter scale. Georgia now off the Richter scale. Trinidad, the whole country is closed. It doesn't affect the person with the home-based business. The home-based business is generating an income, and you don't have to go out to shop. You can click a button. Amazon delivers groceries now. All these places delivering now. They're using drones all over the world to deliver things that you need now. Technology has advanced to a point where now you understand. Or as my sister Shayola would say, you overstand. The world has changed, and I'm here to tell you, so has the money. Digital money has been a part of this world's existence now more than 60 years. And in America, it's been an established foundation for the last 50. You don't believe it? How many of you still get bank statements at home? How many of you understand that's not the majority? How many of you understand that you do it all basically online? You work through apps to get to your bank. You work through apps to get to utility companies. You work through all this stuff at your laptops and your computers and your desktops, right? How many of you find yourself ordering music on your phone, downloading? You're not going to no store to pick up any vinyl. Everything has been digitized, down to your orders, down to your deliveries. Everything has been digitized. And here you are. Why do you think it was so easy for companies to make certain transitions? Even doctors are doing what they call teleappointments. You can't even get to your doctor without having to get on a screen virtually somewhere. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? The digitalization of the world has been here. We just haven't been awake to it. We're like the frog cooking in hot water. See, you drop us in warm at a temperature that we can tolerate. It's within our comfort zone. We don't know we're dying a death through a slow boil. We're just laying there lamping. How many of us thought the job would be forever? Hell, we get older. We get older. Certain things just don't work the same way. Our faculties are different. Our physiological makeup becomes different over time. Oh yeah, my mind tells me I can run 10, 15, 20 miles at top speed like I used to. But reality says, hell no. I'm 120 years old in my knees because each knee is 60. It's been with me 60 years. I'm 120 years old. The knees aren't going to be as spry. You're not going to spring. Oh, yeah, I would love to cuff a basketball and slam dunk from the top of the key like I used to. That don't happen. It doesn't happen. I would love to throw a football 100 yards. Well, I never threw a football 100 yards, but I threw it a pretty far away. That ain't happening. I'll look at some of the fitness programs that I see come across the internet. My wife and I talk about it. So, yeah, man, let me go out here and do so and so and such and such. And I'll see it. I'll get up and I'll do this after looking at it. And whew, boy, I wonder what's for lunch. You see, things change. Money has also changed because we're getting closer to understanding what money is. And I'm encouraging all of you to study the trend. Now, it's not the end all, the be all. I'm not saying that at all. If you're funny about cryptocurrency, you should be. You should be skeptical about its use. Why? Because it's never been amongst you before. Not to this extent. I mean, just a couple of years ago, there were only 3,000 cryptocurrencies in the world. Now, there are over 13,000. And Bitcoin just knocked the door down. But it was an entry point. And people are catching up to what was introduced. And now there are other coins out here that are doing far better than Bitcoin. And then there's others who will do far better than all the other coins. Because the education that comes with it is not just the cryptocurrency. Which one is a utility? What can be utilized? What can be a standard? What can be stabilized monetarily? These things you should study. You need a wealth. I mean, I'm using you loosely. We need a wealth education. A wealth education. We offer it in Wealth Builders Worldwide. We offer it. You can go to our platform in 1 hour from now, 58 minutes, 9 p.m. Eastern in the United States. You can go to our platform live www.goldrocks.info. You can go there. There's a private password associated. It's a Zoom platform, but there's a private password associated with it, so you can go directly on the platform and you can hear what our great leadership says. You can hear of the presentations in wealth building, and then you can even learn more about GS Partners. But then you can also ask questions and get those questions answered. www.goldrocks.info. 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Check it out tonight. And then learn the schedule. And allow this wonderful universe of abundance to open up to you, because WBW we're a mastermind. No one person in this 40,000 plus organization has the total answer, but all of us together have solutions for old problems. You want to make money while you sleep? Because that's a better option than working until you die. Many of us have made more money in our sleep than we could ever spend one time awake. That's your ability and your reality. It can be one for you. And I'm here to tell you that what we represent in our association with GS Partners is the future. It's never been done before. Now, they say there's nothing new under the sun. That's what the book says. It's a fact. There's nothing new under the sun. However, this new you've never done before, not in this way. And we have the solutions for the old problem. Dream. Dream. Dream again. What did you dream at 3? What did you dream at 10? What did you dream at 17? When did the dreaming stop? What do you want? We'll explore that again. I look forward to seeing all of us on Gold Rocks this evening for the Wealth Builders Worldwide GS Partners presentation. Peace and power, family. Thank you for tolerating me. Ahu, forward. Assalamu alaikum.